Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitch and Brainstorm podcast. I am here with one of our panelists for the Elevate Your Online Presence Business Summit happening on April 19th and 20th. I'm here with Monika Anderson, who is going to be part of our branding panel. She's going to be on the April 19th panel starting at 10:15 a.m. Pacific time. And trust me, you are not going to want to miss this conversation because we're going to be talking about all the things that somebody needs in order to have a presentable business. And Monika, I would love if you would introduce yourself so people can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Monika Anderson, and I am the owner and CEO of Chameleon Digital Marketing, which is based in Denver, Colorado. I've been working with small businesses, entrepreneurs for the last 7 years. It's actually next month that it's my 7th year anniversary. So I can say I have seen a lot of different kind of businesses. I work with people in the travel business, IT, finance, lots of other niche businesses, and a lot of the um, personal service business is kind of what my actual ideal client area is.
Awesome. So when it comes to branding, can you kind of give us a little bit of an idea of what branding is and maybe what branding is not?
Sure. So branding is one of my fairly new service areas because I focus a lot on web design. So when I talk about branding, I talk about it from the web design standpoint
Yeah.
and marketing standpoint. So I think a lot of the times people think branding equals a logo and some colors. And we couldn't be more wrong about it because that's just the tip of the iceberg. So if you think about branding as an iceberg floating in a sea, then your colors and logo and fonts are literally just what you see sticking out of the water. So it goes way deeper than that. And it should start with your values and your vision. Without knowing your exact values and your vision, you won't be able to even figure out what your colors should be, what your logo should be. That's just really like part of the process, but it
Mhm.
needs to start way deeper than that.
Way deeper than that. I completely agree. It is so much more than your logo. It is so much more than your colors. Like you can look at a brand and if they've done a good job of communicating who they are, what they're about, what their values are, you'll know it with like you could easily describe like Nike, for example. You know what their brand is about because
Yeah.
they communicate it on a regular basis,
Yeah,
right?
and they simplified it so they just think, their tagline is just do it. It's all about motion and movement.
Yeah.
Nothing overly sophisticated. You don't have to plan for your workout so much. Just do it, whatever feels good. And if you think about maybe Coca-Cola, right? It's the
Mhm.
feel good company. It's like be in the moment, feel good, um, you know, be youthful and young and carefree.
Mhm.
So really good big brands. There's a lot we can learn from as small businesses and entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
and just think about how they approach their audience, what they talk about in their social media, like what is their brand voice, for example. That's one of the hidden parts in the iceberg under the water. Like, for example, how do you talk to your audience? Are you like
Mm.
approachable, educational, or are you more sophisticated and I don't even know. So think about it, like what adjectives would describe you as the brand? What would be the three main kind of adjective that describes you? And if you can't answer this question, then
Mhm.
you haven't dug deep enough in your branding yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you mentioned, your brand voice, um, I think that the tone really does matter. My brand voice, people know, is I love profanity, right? Profanity is like one of my favorite things. And that's why I'm like, I have a panel called Get Shit Done. Like, I don't care, right? My
I did
podcast
notice that, yes.
is bitch and brainstorm, right? I don't care. It's people expect that from me, but I also don't use profanity to harm right? I never use
Mm-hmm.
profanity to cause harm, only as sentence enhancers.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I
those
call
are
them.
very
Yeah,
defined
yeah,
traits, right? So
yeah,
profanity and being down to earth, I imagine, is part of your brand voice, and that's very
yeah.
clear. Mine is forward thinking and positivity and
Mm-hmm.
somewhat educational, but not overly. So I want to
Mm.
be approachable and friendly to my clients and not somebody standoffish.
Yeah, right. I totally get that. So when you mentioned the iceberg, right? So you've got all this stuff sticking up out of the water, which is something that we can see, right?
hmm
We have a visual representation of that. But what about the non-visual parts of your business brand? Like what the stuff that's way underneath in the deep end? What would you say are some of the non-visual parts of a brand?
So a few of them we already mentioned, and they were your values and
Mhm.
your vision. And those are super important. And we also mentioned voice. So some of them we haven't mentioned, but they're also below the iceberg, would be a strategy,
Mm,
literally like your business strategy of like how you approach your clients, like how do you find them, all that sort of stuff. Your personality, for example, because without your personality, if you're trying to hide your personality, especially if you're the face of your company, your business and your brand will never be successful.
mhm,
You have to bring your personality into your business
mhm,
and your messaging. We also mentioned that you need to have a vocabulary, and we mentioned adjectives, but there are also nouns and verbs that are really fitting to you based on your values and personality, and you need to know what these words are. So when you're like creating your social media, or if it's your if it's your assistant creating it for you, you know what words you use and what words you don't use.
mm,
And so I actually have this very well developed online assessment tool that's called the Power Profiles, and it is based on your values because it's a sequence of questions that you go through it. There are pictures as answers. So you pick the answers or pick the pictures, and it's going to bring out your brand voice and your brand vocabulary and your suggested colors that you are most associated with. And sometimes people get surprises. Maybe you thought that your brand should be like a green and blue, and surprise, you're more of a heartfelt, energetic person, and you really should incorporate some reds or oranges or some warmer and more vibrant colors in there.
so fun. Can you talk about rebranding? Right. I find some people they get into this headspace of nobody's buying. I'm not attracting the right people. I guess I need to redo my website and I need to rebrand and I need to change my logo. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with your logo, like why you're not getting clients. So when is the appropriate time to do a rebrand?
Great question. So I have seen a few of my business friends rebrand like pretty much annually. And I think they come from the same mindset you just mentioned, Ellen. They think that that's going to attract more clients, and it
Right.
may or may not. I mean, if you were not on brand, if you never dug deep into your values and your personality and your voice and didn't create good enough signature offers, right? Maybe you never did any research on the kind of offers you created. What if people don't need those kind of offers, right? You need to have some level of research on your clients and what they
Yes.
need. So that could be one issue that you need to look into. I don't think rebranding every year makes any sense at all.
Right.
But I recently rebranded last year, and that was 6 years after I created my first kind of brand and logo and colors. And the reason I did it is because I felt like my business has shifted so much since the very beginning. My services, my offers were somewhat different. That I needed that rebrand because I literally am like almost a different business since I started. I started with a lot of social media,
Yeah.
and now I'm staying away from it. I'm
Yeah.
more focused on branding and web design
Hmm.
and marketing consultations. So that's very different than
Yeah.
social. So I felt like it's time. And usually that every 5 to 7 years is what they say that you need to just reevaluate.
Mhm,
Maybe you're still completely fine with your current logo and current services because you're
mhm.
doing great and people need it just the way they are.
Yeah.
But most of the time you shift a little bit, your focus is different, your ideal clients might be a little different, and then it's time to rebrand.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think, what you mentioned is one of the things that I would highly recommend as well. Before you go rebranding your business, do some market research and make sure that you are actually offering products and services that your clients actually want and need, rather than, I made a huge mistake. Like when I was first starting out, I made an assumption about what I thought people wanted. I didn't do the market research. And it did not go well, right? So now market research is a pivotal part of everything I do. Before I launch a new offer or whatever, I've asked questions. I'm making sure that people actually want the thing before I spend the time, or I sell it before it's ready or something like that, because I learned my lesson, right? So
There you go. There are
maybe,
crickets. And what
yeah.
happened? Oh, I thought it was a good idea, but other people didn't think so.
Right,
Oops.
exactly, exactly. So, lesson learned on that, but market research has become one of those things that I don't think a lot of people spend the time to do. So, I would say before you go rebranding your business, do some market research first. Ask some
Yes.
questions, get on the phone, start talking to people and asking them questions, asking their feedback. I had a gal who wanted to start this thing, and it's kind of a very unusual thing. And I said, I think we need to ask people, what does this phrase mean to you? And it was very interesting to go back through the feedback and go, they have no idea what this means.
Right? And
Right?
then
And then,
sometimes good ideas come from
right.
very, very different concepts. So you have
Yeah.
to explain to people
Yeah.
what is it that
If
you're
you have
offering
to
at all.
explain explain the title, nope, it's not worth it, because you need to have that clarity. People need to be able to understand exactly what you do very quickly. A confused mind says no, right?
Hmm.
We've all
Yeah,
heard that.
if you confuse people, and it's the same is true. I feel like when I'm in networking meetings, if somebody talks about too many different things in a short amount of time,
Whoop,
then I will retain none of it. I'm like,
none of
what
it.
is this person? What does this person do at all? I have no
Yeah.
idea. Hmm.
Yeah, got to get the clarity. So thank you so much for coming to share a little bit about branding. I cannot wait for this panel. It's going to be super duper amazing. So thank you, Monika, for coming and being a panelist. And be sure to come and check us out April 19th and 20th. And we will see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elaine. Can't wait to see you guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.